Hi there. Today we will be building a purchase request submission process agent. This agent will ask the end user details about the particular PR they want to submit, compare it to historical purchases, and either submit it as a operational expenditure or reject it if it's considered a capital expenditure. In this diagram as shown, you will be setting up two HTTP actions, one to fetch historical PRs and another one to submit PRs. Build a conversational process with 4 slots, 5 different activities, 1 decision policy, and then we'll be adding this conversational process to your AI agent to launch the plugin. Okay, so let's get started. So for first thing we have to do is go to our Purple API tool. So this Purple API tool allows you to work on this guide. Basically what it requires is for you to get a session ID. So let's go ahead and do that. Cool, so we got our session ID and we'll go to this tab called purchase requests. So you can see here in this table, we can see historical purchase requests, and based on their pencil name, on their item names and their quantities and amount, there's either a operation expenditure type or a capital expenditure. And if we're able to submit a purchase request, it'll appear in this table here. Let me go into Agent Studio. So first things first, we need to create our actions. So let's go ahead and create our actions. So I'm going to create a get historical purchases action. And for my description, I'm just going to write that it fetches a list of historical purchase requests. Now, I don't have a connector for that. So I'm going to be setting my Moveworks Purple API connector. And the base URL is going to be this one right here. My connector name is going to be Moveworks Purple. And then the description is a Moveworks Purple API connector. This API has no authentication, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And now we need to set up the endpoint. So the endpoint is going to be get historical purchases right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and test that. Cool, so these are all the historical purchases that we currently have. And now let's publish it. Cool, so that's my first action. Now let's set up our second action that allows us to submit the purchase request. So create new action, HTTP action. And this time I can just inherit that Moveworks Purple connector. And then I'm gonna just import this curl request. So let's go here, import curl. Cool, and I'm gonna select my connector again. Oh, and I forgot to set up the name. So this is gonna be submit purchase request. And then the description is going to be, it submits a new purchase request for procurement. Now, this was a post call, so it has a little more steps to it. So it requires a session ID. So I don't think I saved that session ID earlier. So I'll go ahead and copy that and set it here. And then I believe it has a body. And the body has 4 input arguments: the item name, the quantity, the justification. Oh, actually just 3. And I'm going to go ahead and just add some boilerplate information such as the paper, and this is the item name. Okay, required the quantity, let's just say 20, the quantity of objects of items to purchase. Cool. And then the justification such as need to refill supply closet, the business justification of the items in the PR. Now let's click test real quick. Cool. And you can see that I got a response saying that my submission was successful. I see that my status is submitted, PR ID. And if I go back to the Purple API tool and I refresh, you'll see that it's now here. Very cool. Now let's go back to Agent Studio, close this, and let's start building a conversational process. So going back to this diagram, we need to first get this action out, get the historical purchases. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, let's just name our process, which is going to be support procurement purchase, and this will help users submit a procurement purchase request. And we're going to add 4 slots. So we need to gather 4 slots, which are the item name, the quantity, the business justification, and we're going to add a quick slot to acknowledge that this is a purchase for the organization. So let's go ahead first and do item name. This is the string, the description, and then we can leave everything else blank. And then let's go ahead and do the business justification, the description, everything else is blank as well. Set up the quantity, which is going to be a number, and then the description, the number of units. And we want to set up a validation. We can't have users submitting negative quantities. So we'll do value bigger than 0. And then we're going to have a description basically saying the quantity for the item, the purchase request must be greater than 0. And then let's do one more, which is going to be the purchase acknowledgement. And this is going to be a Boolean because we want the users to say yes or no. And this is going to be an explicit acknowledgement from the user that this purchase is for the organization, not for personal use. And we're also going to have a validation, making sure that they always select true. If it's not true, then we can't pass this. And then we'll have a validation saying that the user must explicitly acknowledge yes to indicate that this purchase is intended for the organization and not for personal use. And we always want to prompt the user for this. Okay, let's go ahead and save. Cool. So let's create our first action activity. So let's go to action activity and let's select our action, which is getting historical purchases. So we go ahead and do that. We don't need any slots. Everything's set up on that part. And then we just need a output key. It's going to be historical _ purchases. So this way we can refer it in different activities. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the second activity. And in the second activity, we're going to use a Moveworks built-in action to classify these. So I will use the generate text action, and then it's going to require one slot, which is the item name, because we want to pass this to the AI, and we're going to have a system prompt here to provide the AI some information. And I'm going to write some DSL here. So I'm going to do concat to concatenate a message. So I'll do concat and then parentheses, and we'll write take the space, and then we're going to write data.item name, and we're going to say to compare it. Here we go, and compare it again, the data historical purchases, and we're going to stringify this from JSON. So we can use this DSL function called stringify _ JSON to determine if it is opits or capits classification. And then we want it to tell to only output opits or capits. Oh, there we go. Awesome. And then we don't need a user input here, so we can just leave that empty. Now, for the output mapping here, we're going to just dot walk all the way to the response of this action. And how that's going to look like, it's going to look like this. It's going to look like dot OpenAI chat completions, dot choices, the first item, message.content. So that's going to be the first message that the AI sends. We're going to set this as PR classification. And right before this activity runs, we want to require consent from the user, so they know that they're sending this to get classified. Cool. So now after that, we'll be building a decision policy. So based on the response to this activity, we'll have a decision policy checking if it's opit or capits. So let's go ahead and add two cases. Our first case is going to be if it's opits. So I'm going to write a DSL that says data.pr classification, which is the, if you remember, that's the name, that's the output key, dot lowercase. So I want to just lowercase in case the response isn't capitalized or anything like that. Let's just lowercase that and then make sure that is opits. And then let's click on the second case and just set the classification as capits. So now if we go back to our diagram, you see the decision tree here. If it's opits, we submit the PR. If it's capits, we send a content activity. Otherwise, we tell them that we couldn't categorize it. So since we're going on the opits case, we'll be submitting a PR. So we're going to use that second action that we created earlier. So plus action activity, and this is submit purchase requests. Oh, I don't think I ever published it. Here we go. Let's go back now. There we go. And then we're going to select all slots as required. So item name, business justification, quantity, and its purchase. So even though its purchase is not in the input mapper, the AI assistant is going to be able to still ask the question. So now here, we're just going to pass in the slots, data.item name, data.business justification, and data.quantity. There's no need for output mapping, and our output key is going to be submitted PR result. And we also want the user to consent before this gets executed. Now let's do it for capits. For capits, we're going to have a content activity. So if we move to the plus sign here, content activity, we just want to send a text. So we're just going to write this request falls under capits. Please visit this site. right? We just have Google here as an example. And then for the default case, we'll just let them know that we weren't able to categorize it. So we're gonna send a message as well. So now our process is done. So let's go ahead and validate that. So you can either press Command Shift V or Control Shift V or press V, validate here. And I do see an error, so there's probably an issue with my DSL rule. And if I read this right, looks like it has maybe some token error here. Let's see it. Let's go over it real quick. Cool. So I went ahead and took a look. I think I had some quotations wrong and I just fixed that. So we should be good now. So I'll go ahead and publish that. Publish, very good. And now let's move on to setting up our plugin. So now all we have to do is click on this plus sign, plugin, get started. And then we're gonna call this plugin Super Procurement Purchases. And we'll have a nice description for it. So we want to have a nice description so the AI assistant is able to really trigger this correctly as well. And then let's define our conversational triggers. So as you may know, based on our descriptions, we get evaluations here. I do not like this one because I don't want users to say that how will it be classified. So I'm just gonna skip that. So most of these, so this one's good. Please help me submit a PR for software licenses. And this one's good too. This is okay. Let's do it. And then let's add some more that I want to do myself, like submit purchase requests. How can I submit PR to procurement? I need to order 100 pens for the office. Can I submit a purchase order? I think these are good enough. And then next, we're going to set that process to our plugin. So click here and cool. Let's go to launch configuration. And I'm going to allow this to all users in my environment. Yeah, and we're done. So let's go ahead and press publish. Let's validate first. There's an issue here. Our description is too long. Oh no. All right, well, let's go ahead and remove some of these parts. Let's see. I think that's okay. We don't really need that. Cool. Let's publish. Awesome. Cool. And that's our plugin ready to go. Okay, let's go over how this plugin works. So if I say I need to purchase 10 pencils, let's see what the AI assistant comes back to us with. So it's working. It's probably thinking about what plugin to use. So it finds our plugin and then it says, you need 10 units of pencils. I'm going to say yes. And once that's done, it'll probably do the classification. The classification is in the background. So if you can see here, it's already asking for business justification or purchase for organization. It's not really telling the user, hey, this is an op-ed or CAPES purchase, because it's not really something that the user needs to know. So my business justification is that it is for my classroom, and yes, it's a purchase for the organization. It is. Now it's telling me to confirm what I sent, and I'm gonna say yes to that. Cool, so it's showing me that it made a purchase request with everything that is required. It shows me the PR ID. We can look in the app later to see it with this new request. Let's also try again. Let's do, I also need to purchase, let's just say 10 glasses. So let's just try to see how the validation works. I'm gonna say yes, 10 units of glasses. I just need something for my dinner table. Okay, so my business justification is that it's cool and it's not a purchase for the org. So now that I'm telling it it's a purchase for the org, it's going to think, and it's actually telling you that I need to explicitly acknowledge that it's a purchase for the org and not for personal use. So purchases for personal use cannot be processed. So basically it's telling me you can't do this. Okay, and let's go ahead and see if we can do a CAPES. So I'm going to say I need to order 5 forklifts for the warehouse. So here we go. It's going to confirm that I need a forklift. Going to say yes. And now that it's probably going to go through the classification, and it's telling me that it's actually a capital expenditure. So to complete this request, I actually need to go to the portal to be able to submit that. Okay, now I'm back in the app, and let's go ahead and refresh PRs. And you can see in the pending purchase request table, we can see the 10 pencil I just ordered. So the plugin works fine and is able to update records, submit records, and it's very good at abstracting all this CAPEX, OPEX information from the user. Actually, the user doesn't need to worry about procurement, dealing with procurement people. you actually can just do it through the agent and not have to worry about spending weeks making a purchase request. They can just do it in minutes. And that's how you build a process agent end to end. Thanks for watching.